Harmony, and she is speaking out of the Pathways path, dynamic leadership. This is level 1 out of 5 levels, icebreaker speech. And a little bit about Harmony. She'll be speaking about her life, the disability she was born with, and the home struggles she experienced up until now, and how these experiences have shaped Harmony who she is today. Please help me to welcome the speech channel No Tag Limit, Harmony Tarrant, No Tag
No. It was like,
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm still here. Okay, rewind. Please help me welcome Harmony Tarrant with your speech title, I'm Still Here. Harmony Tarrant, I'm Still Here.
From the minute I was born, the universe wanted me to die. I was born with Tarrant syndrome, a disease only 1 in 40,000 people get. I had no anus, a disconnected esophagus, partially paralyzed intestines that were complicated, extra reproductive organs, and scoliosis that would get worse as I age. A feeding tube, colostomy bag, and several surgeries later, there I was. Little me dancing to its Midnight Cinderella with my mom somewhere here in Orange County. These were good times in my childhood. When I was 5 years old, all my surgeries were done, and my mom woke my brother and I in the middle of the night to take us to Texas, with only a note on the table telling our dad that we left. When I was 8, we moved into our stepdad's house, and everything started to plummet. There were weird rules that were implemented, like the blinds had to be closed at all times, we couldn't look out the windows or leave the house, we couldn't answer the phone even if it was other family members, we couldn't have the internet, and eventually we couldn't have friends over or vice versa. My stepdad threw the first punch. We would get hit for the simplest of things, like leaving a fork in the sink or spilling water. But he would do it in this sick way at first. He would wait until our mom got home from work, made her sit in the kitchen, and made her watch at him as he beat us to the ground. I assumed this was some kind of brainwashing so she would follow in his footsteps, and when I was 10 she did, but only towards me. She would tell me how I was worthless, fat, stupid, ugly. I would get hit just for walking into the room or because I didn't clean something good enough. I wasn't allowed to choose anything for myself. I don't think at any time until I moved out. My food, my portions, my hair, my clothes, anything you can think of was chosen for me, and I couldn't decide anything for myself. When I was 18, I was told to get a job, but there's 2 catches to that. 1, I was told I couldn't say that I had Tarrant syndrome, which includes chronic pain. 2, up until this point, I had been taught no life skills, I had been isolated from the world, and I was afraid of authority figures. You talk about an entry-level job, I was below an entry-level job. The jobs I had, I got fired from within a few weeks to a few months. I had phone anxiety. Every time I was yelled at, I would cry and shut down. I couldn't function. I couldn't memorize table numbers or an entire menu in a week. We weren't allowed to sit down at my job, at any of my jobs, so I would go into the bathroom and cry because of the amount of physical pain that I was in. By the time I got fired from my 3rd job, I was severely depressed. I think it started when I was 8 and just got worse every single year. After I got fired from my 3rd job, I was convinced that everyone was right. I had no purpose in this world. It was proven I couldn't do the simplest of things, and I felt so trapped inside that house. So I took a bottle of sleeping pills and tried to kill myself. And even that ended up in me getting hit and yelled at, but eventually to the hospital. And when I got out, I was snuck away to my stepdad's grandma's house because my stepdad didn't want me and my influence to keep living with them. I don't know what convinced him to let me back a week later. But a year after that, I was kicked out of the house for not cleaning a corner of the house good enough. So I moved back to California with my dad, where we've been catching up with life and with health because I had not gotten any kind of health care since I was 5 years old, and it is very important for someone like me to have ongoing care. Last year, I had my poetry featured, I did poetry in a studio last year. One of my open mics got featured in the local paper. I was featured on RX Week's blog, and I am currently building my skills here at Toastmasters as well as with DMC with Youth with Disabilities. From the minute I was born, the universe wanted me to die, but despite everything, I'm still standing.